All right, looks like we are live. Okay, so yesterday it was getting late when I was streaming, and yeah, just kind of like making a bunch of mistakes. So I kind of got hung up on breaking out services, and that's cool because it makes sense because my services is pretty. It's basically just like it's pretty small. There's not much. There's not much in there right now. So, um, but anyway, I found this clean architecture fiber example. Um, and it basically just helps with this whole auth handler situation that we got into. So what we did yesterday was we returned this like auth handler, and the auth handler then has this login, which is basically like a fiber. It's like this a function that takes a fiber context and returns an error is like a fiber handler. And so I don't know why, but this is what we should have done. This is what we should have done. So add book will take the book service and returns a fiber handler, and then the fiber handler is this type, and so it's just a higher order function. I mean, that's just what we should have done, and so that would have just allowed us to have a much cleaner approach than creating this auth handler. Yeah, so kind of following that approach, right? Login can then return a fiber dot handler, and then we can do that anonymous function. Yeah. Let's go down here, close off this function. So that makes sense. Yeah, and now we basically can get rid of this auth handler. So yeah. Anyway, last night, late night, so yeah, we also just had a new baby, and so any sleep is good sleep these days. Cool. Okay, so this is a much better approach, and then of course login will take in here in our API we could just say login, and we could pass our user service. So services.user service, which is an interface. And then instead of it, yeah, so instead of like tying this to the auth handler now, we can get rid of that. We can get rid of that. And we just do user service. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. It's like so annoying to break this out into services right now since we only really do one thing, get the user. But cool. And so now what we could do is pass that in. And then there's no auth handler. It's handlers.login. Okay. Cool. So yeah. Anyway, I think this approach, it's a little bit cleaner. It's a little bit cleaner to get the service, because that other one, that other recipe we were looking at, the other example, that just like queried that global database object. Let me go back to that really fast. Yeah, this one. So like, let's go to their user. Yeah, I mean, it just grabs that global database and calls the database directly. So that's not what we want. Cool. Yeah, so that cleans it up nicely. One other thing I was going to go do was, so in the services, I basically haven't broken the services out yet, and so we have a user service, but then we still have like report and product. And so it might make sense to go break those out. Yeah, so the user service decently succinct, at least for now. Yeah, there's only one function, but it's yeah, we're gonna basically copy this approach. And then this will be models.report. You know, I'm gonna turn off Copilot. Yeah, because it definitely catches out. I think like using Copilot for testing stuff, like just like if you have a bunch of very similar unit tests and you kind of like want the next unit test to be similar, that works really well. But yeah, other than that, sometimes I have like, sometimes I don't. Okay, so that returns, oh yeah. And then a new report service. This takes the instance of the database. And it returns the interface. And now we just need to have the actual implementation. And which in our case is just a dummy data. Okay, cool. So yeah, we've broken a report out. And then our actual services, we could maybe get rid of this and this for now. We'll probably not need that as well. Okay. And so now when we create a new service, we can go create an instance of that report service as well. And then what am I missing here? Report service and report service. And this is just kind of like a nicety right now until I figure out a better way to do this. And this is also a report service. Yeah, and so that way it just kind of allows us to like indirectly get access to the underlying, these underlying services. Yeah, but then still leverage the interface. So maybe that's not the way to do it. Yeah, still go newbie. So, okay, let me get rid of these, get rid of this. And then it's s dot report service. We don't need models anymore. Okay. Yeah, so the API, we're passing this full-blown like created services anyway. And so I only want to pass in the user service. Yeah. So there might be a better way to do that. Okay, cool. And then let's flesh out some of the product service. By ID. Let's see, int models product. And then here we want to return a pointer to a product and an error. Okay. I think we want to do a find. And then let me double check that product model. Okay, so I think the gorm.model has like a bunch of built-in nice code, like ID. And I think that default ID is an int, I think. It's funny, this actually is like pretty much should delegate to a product repository, but we'll get there. Yeah, so if anybody has any ideas on a better way to like get access to these, as opposed to like creating the function, like creating a function to return that interface, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Product service, product service. Okay, and so like for example, like here we would have to do product service, get product by ID, and then here I believe we need an ID. C.query, is it C.query? Yeah, that's gonna be a string. I guess we can actually we can just make this a string for now. Oh yeah. So here we could potentially make a product handler. Whoops. I think we can just do. I think we can do that. And then the same thing as before. All right, and so now we can basically copy our existing function over. We can actually do some, we should probably do some validation, right? C.query returns a string. And then it will always return, it defaults to an empty string. Okay. So c.status. Oh, I guess we could do this. They have a very nice JSON where you just pass like a fiber map, which is super nice. Yeah, so see this fiber map over here. Status error. I mean, yeah. forgot the error. Let's see, what did they do for this? Unauthorized and authorized. Let's just do this. Okay. And then if everything succeeds, we can do one of these. So I'm not super sold on this data structure yet, like for this return, like status success, message, blah, and then the data. We don't need this. Data is then product. Okay. So I believe we can get rid of this. See, it's definitely cleaner than it was before. It's definitely cleaner, but maybe instead of doing something like new auth handler, we do something like instantiates all the handlers with the service, and then we don't need to pass this into everything. Yeah, because it's kind of annoying. This is kind of annoying. Well, I'll keep thinking about that. Okay, let's see how this is going. So I have the API running. Services has no field or method get report. Don't think we need that anymore. Oh, run report. Okay. At least until we can get everything working with that. All right, cool. Okay, so seems like we're in a better place with that. Let's go and run a login. Okay, cool. So login still works. Let's grab that token. And then let's paste that token. Okay, so here I'm just querying the product API. Cannot get API product. What did we do? Can I get API product? Oh, right. We need an ID. Okay, cool. Error on get product request, status error, invalid product ID. Let's go check the database. Series app Postgres 1. That's weird. I don't have a terminal into here anymore. Before, I could just click on the actual database. Okay, so it seems like there is a product. Invalid product ID. Status error. Return that error. Do I have to use Fiber's logger if I want to see that? All right, let's run that again. I don't see that debug. Log. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Oh, wait. Is it not finding? Maybe it's not supposed to be a query. Maybe it's supposed to be params. I think it's supposed to be params. I think that's what's messed up here. Okay. Yeah, so still getting used to Fiber. There it is. There's the product. Okay, that's what it was. Cool. All right. So all the refactoring still works. Get rid of that. Send. Bam. I think we should still do, just because now this has already burned us. I guess actually we could do, and then, okay. All right. Okay, so handlers and services are broken up nicely. Yeah, really the next thing to do is instead of services calling the database directly, there should be repositories. Let me just go update the notes. Okay. All right. Okay. So still things that need to be looked into. Dockerizing the whole app. And so what I mean by this is like, you could just, instead of like installing Go on your machine, and instead of like installing Air on your machine, you just basically only have Docker Compose. You use the shared volume, and so when you save changes, the shared volume kicks, but then Air is running in Docker, and it'll re-kick. And so ideally, you just like run everything in Docker. I don't really like having my local dev in Docker, but at least you could kind of hand it off, and you wouldn't have to worry about like installing all these things, getting it to work. So UUIDs for the database, because I think that Gorm model uses like the ID that's an integer. And then setting up, so last stream we actually worked on the auth. So we got some auth stuff for the API. But I want to work on I want to have like an ID, like something for like external devices, or like webhooks, or most modern systems, they're going to have something else coming in, right? Like you're going to get pub sub notifications, gRPC, IoT devices pinging you. You're going to be sending stuff downstream to like reports systems and things like that. And so I just want to think of like how we can do an example of like some other thing is connecting to us, and like leveraging HMAC or something like that. Passkey based login, so passkeys are all the rage these days. And so eventually we'll be building out a front end, and it would be nice to not do like email password like we have with our user model right now, and just do like the passkey based login. And so you can just like, if you have Touch ID, you can just like confirm the passkey with Touch ID. It's pretty cool. I think running the seed database like multiple times instead of having like collisions, that would be cool. And then of course adding repository layers. So those are all the things to look into with the next stream. Cool. Alrighty. Well, this GitHub repo it's live, and it's available. So if you go to github.com, Dwayne Bester, you'll see the Go series app. So if you want to check out the code and stuff there. Yeah. Alrighty then. Thanks for watching. I will catch you guys in the next stream.